Hey everybody, John, you over here, Maryland K-12. The Maryland State General Assembly is at it again in terms of education. I told you a little while ago, I said, there weren't any major bills coming up in terms of education, but as just like the weather in Maryland, hang around for a little bit and it'll change, and it has. 1582, I think it is. It's called the Compass Act, which stands for Comprehensive Outcomes and Measures of Progress for Supporting Schools. You know that 5-star rating that they're using to rate the schools, so parents can look on and say, oh, my kid's going to a 3-star school, a 4-star school, whatever. That's on the way out, and it allows the state board to shuffle up the rating system and the criteria that they use to arrive at those ratings. They don't have to use a star under the new, if the law passes, they're not going to be required to get rid of or keep the star system. It just gives them a lot more authority. I don't like it, and I'll tell you why. I'm not a big fan of the 5-star system, but in general, it's easy for parents to understand. They're going to, if they go away from it, then they're going to start hiding a lot of things within that. And what they're hiding is very simple. Currently, 65% is the max that they can use for any type of school tests to account in the rating, 65%. And the other 35% is a variety of other factors. They're sort of changing that, and they're saying 70%, they'll allow them to go up to 70% for the testing and whatnot. And the remainder is a whole bunch of different types of things, graduation rate, attendance, the list goes on. But what can't be included in that 30% is teacher evaluations. That's off the table. That's a different topic. I don't like that either. So anyway, what this does is that gives them so much more flexibility to manipulate that 30% and make these schools appear like they're better than they really are. It's smoke and mirrors. There are 2 types of data in education, okay? The 2 types of data are, they have achievement data, and then there's climate data. Achievement data, school tests, MCAP, PARC, MSPAP, MSA, for those of you like me, been around a while. And then there's what's called climate data, and that's the surveys, retention data, graduation data, discipline, suspension, all those sorts of things. That data is very easily manipulated, as we're seeing when it comes to school discipline. There's ways to manipulate that, and they're doing that. And the school achievement data is less, can't quite manipulate that as much. So what they do is they manipulate the test itself, okay? And that's what they're doing. So they didn't like the way the test was going. They changed the test, all right? Now we're going to something different from NCAP. And on top of that, now they don't like the way that the schools were panning out in terms of the star ratings. Now they're working on changing that. They've moved the goalposts, and now they're even changing the scoreboard. So it's smoke and mirrors. It's a big mess. And all of this comes down to is the blueprint for progress. It's costing so much money, and nothing is happening because of it. And everyone was just thought that this, or they were sold a bill of goods. Now they're realizing that that bill of goods was not, is not going to come to fruition. And now they're changing the scoreboard, and they're moving the goalpost. I don't like it. I hope this helps. So if you have any influence, vote down on this 1582. It's a mess, because the State Board of Education has all the authority in Maryland, but all the authority that it is granted and it uses has to be in alignment with Maryland state law. And generally speaking, in the past, those laws have been, fairly, I don't want to say loose, but they're kind of loose guidelines, and they really entrusted the State Board of Education to do what it needed to do, and it generally has over the years. But lately, the legislators get more and more and more involved. So now what they're doing is they're just kind of giving them this really broad amount of authority in terms of rating the schools. I don't like it. So it's a back and forth between the state legislature and the state board. They're all together on this. And I tell you, I just don't like it. I'm not a big fan of the 5-star system, but I think it worked for its purposes. Anyway, I hope this helps. Vote no if you well, you're probably not voting, neither am I. But anyway, 1582, not a fan. Have a great day.